Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Poetry Project. The most happening place in the East Village, apparently. Thank you all so much for coming out. This is an amazing crowd. And it's so nice to see you all. We just kicked off our season last Wednesday with the launch of The Device, which is a new publication. It's for sale on the table. If you want to know more about it, you can check our website, but it's not online. But it is an archival-based magazine, and it features interviews with Bob Holman, Patricia Spears-Jones, and Emil Alkali. So it's over there for sale for $10. Don's book is also for sale, Fucking. Please check it out. He's here to sign it and to read to you all. My name is Nicole Wallace, and I'm the director of the Poetry Project. And I will be introducing Mel tonight because my colleague Miren Arsanios, who usually does this, is ill. But it's exciting to be able to host because Mel and Don are two of my favorite poets and two of my favorite people. And it feels awesome to have them reading together to celebrate Don's new book, or re-release of the book. And they're just both great poets and people who have been close to the Poetry Project family for a long time. All right. Oh, one other thing. We are doing a membership drive this month. So if you're not a member, consider it. It's $10 a month is the second tier, and that means you can come to all of our readings for free, which is the cost of coming to one reading. So if you're not a member, think about it. All right. So our first reader will be Mel Elberg, and this introduction was written by Miren. So when I say I, it's actually Miren. Mel is my favorite kind of poet, one who belongs to the cherished lineage of the poet friend. By this I mean a poet who finds in friendship a place to practice living, to rehearse closeness and distance through choreographies of desire and resistance. I'm obsessed with my friends, and so perhaps is Mel. Her poems stage these bonds. They want to give you everything while staying deeply attached to the fixation and charge of desire. Through rhythm, cadence, and repetition, they insist on the object they want while simultaneously staging what they want for the other. Language moves between possession, she's mine, and release, carrying the weight of signifiers while deviating from rehearsed meaning through the incantory wordplay. There's an aura of low-key mysticism in Mel's work. Numbers hold meanings, a distinct symbolism. Crystals have healing properties, aggregates of atoms organized into geometric forms the poem loosely models. Reading Mel feels like a negotiation, reaching for divination while resisting a fate that leaves little room for improvisation, or for opposing an order of language that doesn't serve us. Maybe, mostly, Mel's poems engage the ethos of performance and its many possibilities, peeling back layers of sedimented knowledge by asking, how do you know what you don't? And staying with the exposure of the question. With performance comes the promise of renewal. Quote, a right to existence, a counter object, unquote, Mel writes. We are moved beyond affirmation and negation by a comma. Yes, no. The binary ruptured into an uneasy continuity between opposites. Nothing is truly negated or entirely affirmed. Instead, the poems ride the raw force of language without settling for cheapened signification. In this sense, one can read Mel in the legacy of language poetry with the added and necessary layer of radical feminism. Shulamith Firestone appears in an epigraph, quote, our goals can never be achieved through evolution, only through revolution, unquote. Mel wants everything for you, especially if you're a woman. If you're a man, find a friend with whom to practice becoming a woman. Quote, men there, be a woman, unquote. It's true, we do need everything, all the tools at our disposal, all of the witches and magic we can summon to help make existence free and ecstatic. Mel's poems approach language with that demand, which sometimes turns into a plea. Okay, I'm going to read a little from this poem. Widow women's things naturally ease gentle, soft vibrations for the female brain. Ease gentle, soft vibrations for the female brain. Help us. Demanding help means surrendering in part to forces beyond our control, like a prayer. Sometimes Mel answers her own prayer by redirecting that plea toward a feminist collectivity. Come closer, she writes. Let us give us a kiss. Let's all welcome our dear friend Mel Elberg to the Poetry Project.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maren, for writing that, and Nicole for reading it. I'm extremely honored to be opening for Don, and wow, I can't believe how many people are here. I'm going to try not go too fast. These are mostly new poems, but I slipped some old ones in there too, thinking about Don's book and bringing other times and eras into this time in this room. Anyway. Sound shapes are song hands in hardscaped existence. The tip of one vowel is dreaming of mothers. A shadow slow drawing put in patterns abstracted by experience. The cold springs of liveliness floating out of her mouth in the country house shaped by those harder pressed early hands, silent drawn lettering I forgot how to play in a pattern escaping reality. Scalpel clear absence, tortureless distance. My friend. Nobody knows about my friend, not even me yet. Too important to talk about. You can't see her, you can't talk about her. She's mine. Improv in repetition, yes. Counting does reflect proof, a right to performative existence. Yes, appearing out of air, people do count. Yes, performativity is yes man, exists, takes up placement. Yes, exist, place, peer, exercises it. Yes, themselves counting themselves into existence. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 reflections reflecting yes, yes, yes. No, performance does prove to be proof of no. Yes, when the uncounted prove to appear. Yes, a reflex is perform, a right to existence, a counter object. I'm only shaking a little. Good. Tell a soul. Tell mine. Mine, the single digit of the world. For the mind told, splintered into many tiny oil lamps, objects tell. A soul, the sacrum of your poem. Your palm, the numbered one you wrote with your wind pen in the trees when both you and the trees were very old. Tell the spirits that swim down your wind throat, that swim in your darkness toward the mythical number 3, the 3 of souls, subject to this encounter at the empty center of all holy rolling little nothings. Let me be perceptive. Let me have perceptions with you. Through it, tell it, will you? Tell me one in a whisper whose soul purpose, who's purposeful and strangely proposed or by accidents. Tell me so my lonely, lonely, lonely garden grows. Anne Camp's hand, within which every rectangular letter happens in relative contortion to the circular O, the soft pink-mouthed one of unusual proportion. The women I love an alphabet in full forms make margins and are not whole, though they fill the single page. Leave space for this and write it in last. I guess I do use the word woman a lot in my poems, and I'm a feminist and I'm genderqueer, and it's not complicated. Letters are pushed to show their bodies or become lattice marked by the form of their belief, or birds remembering something after. If the rug and the object wrap each other in constituent palettes of color, I put a little flower essence on. A bee imagined into wood grain, milking existence, her greatest student, grinding her brain on the point of assignation at night, systematically and with great satisfaction. In metabolizing the experience of a text that isn't on the ion level separate from me, I wrote form on a plane for them or some portion. It was one eclipse to be studied specifically, and that's why I'm recommending her. The spine as train, the train as time, a figure of humorous error, a glass eyeball, indefatigable. Is that teaching? Yes. No. Yes, no, I will not let go of my beautiful dream for a girl. I will neither go forth with the beauty or submit my raw dream to gridlock data points grip on the thigh of insanity tonight. My girl is not beautiful or aspiring. She's in the orchard. She will not let go of the promise to her rose soul, dug from the undergirl, full umbrella. Impulses and wills, impulses toward open figures, building inwards, hosing down or brazing, skewed revisitation, vanquishment, a love supreme. Wills of comprehensible loss accumulated, in return invitations to hold up the heavy stamen. Heavy is the stem subtending sun-drunk coronas, painful but quick, 10 out of life before them. I started teaching recently, and it's amazing, and the secret is that you just get paid to be in school. Anyway, it's definitely dribbled into the idea of what teaching and learning is into writing recently. Making the legible, inedible, described in the cool embrace of abstraction. Life like punctuation shapes to the brink, then pushes back, an oubliette like laughter, like gestures, emergent repetition, one-to-one, and the water's androgynous rupture, what a camera gives, all capitals. A nightmare in which the mother desires. Danger green, cloud gather, tender sheath, period fainting, but for to allow sheath knowledge to reach her. Every green pattern vowed fatly to hurl, recoven, flatter, and leaf, my tried heart of tissue paper, and smoldering districts asleep down inside her. Heaved in cloud after sheer, every death gathers adherence. My shelves, cast from their voids through the double-versed, you lick the petal and the paper says yes. Yes, shade for the unhammered matter of green permissibility, bolts of gathered wood to faint, wooed lapse in which she attains green as slept longer. We've got cards on the ward against humanity. Is it windowed if it doesn't see the zillion strays in heaven? Is a little taste sent barely by blackberry via horse milk, sucking on the foot of my bed? I need a freak, hell, maybe a place you check in and out of, Bodymore, Murderland, Luther, Lucian, Lucy, All Saints. What is a living wage? A quarter back, parador. How do you measure life's qualities against torn cloth, a gray foreground against rain? When a song is a sieve for many of us, that's when the universe really beams. It looks like sound, it sounds like light. His whole identity depends on me being a dumbass. But my whole reality is sound and light and what it really is like. This house, holds a mouthful of dreamer who never sleeps, who stays up drawing timers the mind loves to trip on. A mystery because it is a mystery, what the mind is for, the door, this door, the one your mother's father folded up like a letter sent from a war, who sang as he wrote a round ball in my palm. The room inside the room has missing corners who hold the dreams of drawerfuls of little scraps of paper. The smaller the treasure, the smaller the treasure. That poem's kind of unfinished. How long will it take me to clean your house? I'm actually looking for somewhere to live. I'm looking for somewhere as a living space. I'm at the shelter now, but I'm looking. I have a daughter, and I don't want any perverts. I'm looking for somewhere that we can live. Are any of you from here? I'm looking for a place that we can go. I'm actually looking, and I have a daughter looking for a place we can somewhere, actually. A profession. Bring your rage-splitting ambivalence, suggestions over determination, and what words they looked up. Peas, carrots, apples, pie, unroll your holy geometry. Peas, because the text is too small and topped by the phrase, wrench, screw, arm for this one, a mathematical constraint by which memory is translated into action. And if you're absent, it's your job. To see, and then to sleep. The thoughts nest their processes as figures of faith, familiar, malleable, and free pens, the rotational force that causes the words used to define this word, not always readable in their faces. She taught into my idea by singing over whose directives I shift quietly in sleep's fourth dimension. Also known as the moment, language is circular and interdependent, like this apple. The centaur, sign noise, formable, a grief at the speed of thought, at the delicate trot of thought, the grin of thought, at the well of, at the ocean of the bottom, and the symbol in the lowercase tore around an axe, what questions we had. Someday, my prints, like my fingerprints. Hypnotic, layered, loved, between two pages of the universe, the film is watching. It was so easy to crawl in through those windows, the chipped outlines, a prayer of leaves cut fall to sky. When I'm 12, we can live here. Language isn't real. Today I found a strange little apple tree. It inhabits our theaters. I ate pears and watched her gather the rest of her life in skirts. Today on TV, I have 124 folds for 46 days and 0 daughters' hours. It is a horror of us, the foreseen forged unbeautiful. We haunt it back in hidden hours with freezing doves. Her poem contains very little, very little. Okay, this is an older poem that was quoted in the intro that I have to read in a voice, kind of. Welcome to Crystal Healing for Women. Healing crystals for women who kneel pure pretty little things need gentle mystical protection. Heal soft with us. A whole need help in pure light, and gentle medicine heals wholeless as it vibrates through our mysterious region. These help kneel gently, make healing holes soft again. The emotional moments helped very, very pretty holes all better. Little harmonies, widow women's things, naturally ease gentle soft vibrations for the female brain help us. Moon, small, heavy, metal, object. I write to you dark mornings. I write to you dark mornings. I write of you at night. I write for you as night turns into night. But I'm looking at the phenomena that the mirror is reflecting. Nothing between us, a mirror behind, outside of us. I'm not looking at the mirror on purpose, or at least that's what this other mirror makes me believe. Be a woman, reality. With your hand on the thigh of my Eros, please her as you eject spirituality from the real's repression, eating your fist. Mother Nature interior keeps both ears pressed to the wall with tiniest voice inside it. The soft fall of an old newspaper. You're only alive for part of this simulation once. Be a woman under flesh-eating flowers. Thought worms attracted to the glow-eyed who wait for no sunshine. Be a woman, doom, an accident, blackthorned, eglantine, loosely diagnostic. My heart is a fine hurdle over which you climb as if no one lived there. It's not an alarming situation, but a gross abuse of life, sex, power. We've met him many times before. Be a woman turnt, or of the most sweeping global paranoia, ruinous, fuckable girlhoods capsizing. To get rid of the earth will be his ultimate sexual domination. Be a woman, he wants it to be a surprise, prove he knows her worth, a hand in mouth, the myths as product and their reproducibility inside me. For a fee, she'll raise you a little erotic charge, a violent pocket of time. Be a woman, suppose not to be a woman, deconstructing deep optic fantasy, a cunt in the earth-bloodying pure heaven, a cunt composing unpower in the vaginal billfolds of the cycle's open secret. The silence is the folding action of concealment. Sex on a dead thing, men there, be a woman. That was like my reaction to the first Trump thing. And just like, God damn it. My friend never learned how to not fiendishly. Red lights in the speaker wire, pinken by night. Vision tease, a shriveled thought given the substance to die. Soul music for my friend Amelia, who is here somewhere. I lay in a long, invisible strip of dream where my friends feed me music. I lived for a while as a tiny particle of a great stream of my friends' music. My friends' intensely particular silk and sand way of bringing worlds to light. They talk in a sound like singing. I live for that. Lay in a long and dreamlike river announcing that the song I see part of myself in knows. We get laid to the music and let it grow inside us. My friend, a teenageette punching, self-destructing 22-syllable code in rotary phone at 0400. She is pushing lines of power against odd, electronic riversides. Come closer, let us give us a kiss. Dreaming up materials, hand me down slow and let me hold some other freight. On the way to speaking its slow pain, I must have fallen asleep. Let of garden walls and going in through the small of the neck speak for me. Time became thick. There wasn't hands enough. Let me warm them down slowly, of lemon cheeks and pages, because your little dog knows a life of methods, some of your older ways. No more selfies, no more cells, no self. Something lost by sharing. How small a problem. 27. Your records, your collection, your shape, what does it show? Fly by night, lie-yite, I. Okay, so one more thing, and it's kind of a song with like an unfixed melody. So I'm just gonna like tap on here or something, because I usually do a thing, and hopefully I remember. I guess I don't need to remember. No, I'm not gonna do that actually. There must be another world. Pressing against this one, hungrily, a sound I send bend through the ether, multiple and simultaneous, the devil inside it. A question, if we have not attained immortality, at least we have attained reality. Or put contours around it, which is a little theater, a leaf, horse's hooves through the phone, 100 burned CDs from vinyl, if I do wake up from this, or sunbird-like, or is death-spirited, calm train, diaphanous eyelid, inner ocean. Thanks so much.
Mel. That was so good. How dare you? Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to ask Lonely Christopher to come up now, and you'll be introducing Don.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be here with Mel and Don and all of you. You know Don Yorty. He recently told me, I began to write poetry in the summer of 1965 after I heard Bob Dylan sing Mr. Tambourine Man. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard, and I wanted to make something that beautiful myself. He grew up in rural Pennsylvania, but eventually took his enfant terrible act on the road to Temple University and eventually onward to New York City, where he's been deeply ingrained in the local downtown poetry community ever since. Yorty disclosed, I began to read Walt Whitman and John Keats, and the two of them showed me what a poet was, which is himself. Just be yourself. And I fell in love and with the both of them. They were so alive to me, I sometimes talked to them, and in my mind would hold them and kiss them. The long poem, Fucking, is the major work of his 20s, written over the course of 4 or 5 years. Indolent Books has collected it alongside a selection of Yorty's early work. Fucking is a post-beat, proto-punk poem, a wandering and raging screed spanning from antiquity to the early mid-70s, a Molotov cocktail that's always exploding inside a burning library. The poem's motto could be, "What's meant, let that be said." The acerbic, blood-soaked satire from the tail end of the Vietnam War era translates unnervingly to now. Fucking features striking and provoking imagery and settings, like the room where Sharon Tate was killed, and a Tijuana donkey show where at the bar Socrates is arguing with William Burroughs over a cup of hemlock. The poet sings of ugliness, stripped naked, dragged behind horses, because that's what's happening. With youthful rage, Yorty proves that digging in the sands and mud of history won't yield us marble treasures, but more dirt, older dirt that's been absorbing all the blood. Yorty's form of dissent is the formation of radical sexuality in opposition to a hypocritically moralistic but exploitively violent, suppressive, and assaultive culture. There's a focus on the deaths, murders, and suicides of cultural figures. There's genocide, war, the causes of genocide and war, and the systems that enable and profit from it, moving from a gut-wrenching immediacy to something like contemplation. Yorty is a poet who reminds you that the page is flammable and the word incendiary. There is a sense of something, let's call it love, resisting the dark and deadly forces gnawing at us, which manifests amidst the chaos like a still life with penis in sunlight. The poet is not alone. There is another in the bed with Raphael angel curls. There are the books on the shelf that speak to the poet, those who came and fell before the poet. There's Sappho and Virgil, Keats, and Hart Crane. In his poetry, Yorty presents an invitation to approach me across the impossible. He believes that poetry shelters us. Fucking is a significant work of performance and literature that one may contextualize amongst the work of Ginsberg, Baraka, and De Prima. Yorty says, I was a performance poet at the time, so memorizing the work helped me revise and edit, because when you're reciting poems from memory, unnecessary words are like too much baggage during travel. Traveling, whatever you don't need, you get rid of. You only carry what you can carry. Fucking lived for decades as a spoken word experience and has been excerpted in various forms, but here for the first time it's collected in full, thanks to the continued support of Indolent Books, which also published Yorty's collection, Spring Sonnets. Someday there will be no words. Until then, please welcome Don Yorty.
Thank you for coming. Wait, what's wrong? Hold on here. There we go. I think it's fine. Great. No, maybe it's not fun. Let's bring it down. Good. Good. Are we cool? Thank you for coming from the bottom of my heart. And it's lucky the 100 people who texted me today who said they couldn't come, didn't come, because there'd be absolutely no fucking room here. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So the first poem I'm going to read, these are poems that I wrote in my 20s, from about 23 to 27. I was living in Philly. So none of these poems were written in New York. They were written in Philadelphia. I began writing when I was 16, as Lonely said. Thank you, Lonely. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everyone. And I gave the poems to my English teacher, and she sent the poems to some famous poets, which, of course, is like an oxymoron, right? But It's like luxurious poverty or something. Famous poets. And two of them wrote back. Louis Untermeyer wrote back, and John Wheelock wrote back. And Untermeyer loved my work, said, this kid is great. And John Wheelock said, I think the kid should write prose. And then my English teacher sent some things off, and I won the Pennsylvania Poetry Award, whatever that was. And I got $100, which in 1965 was like $1,000. The local community theater did a performance of my poems at the library, and the local newspaper did a 2-page spread with me on the horse and blah, blah, blah. And I was nobody. I was like a 16-year-old kid, and suddenly I was a poet. And I was somebody. I was a poet. And I felt like I am a poet. And then I went off to college, and I didn't know what people liked about the poetry, and I struggled for about 5 years just trying to write, and I was hanging out. It was hard to get a job, and I was writing, and everything was bad. At about the age of 23, I was literally lying in a gutter, looking at the stars or looking at the streetlights of North Philadelphia, and I decided I got to do something, and I really said, I'm going to write poetry. And I quit writing. I sort of cleaned up my act a little bit. And reading Walt Whitman really was an experience for me. If it wasn't for Walt Whitman or my English teacher, I don't know if I would be here. But I began to write at about the age of 23. And so all of the poems in the book were written from the age of 23 to about 27. So the first poem is At the Grave of Walt Whitman. I was in Philadelphia and crossed the bridge to Camden. I'm satisfied, I said. There's grass growing here, and I no longer care what anyone might think of me or what the future holds or when and if comes money. I heard you speak. You are not dead, nor have I lived more than I lived when you first spoke. I kneel down in the grass, slide out some blades to chew. I've read you, know your caress, and see out in the void your hand still is, trembling for my touch. Walt Whitman, you're the spit green along my lips. Help me to trust in it. And the next poem is called Lou. The first time I saw Lou Reed was at the Main Point in Philly. It's outside of Philly in Bryn Mawr. It was like 1972 or something. And he got up on the stage. You had to get up on these steps and get on stage. And Lou fell flat on his face. He was so drunk and drugged out, he could hardly stand. And some people helped him get to the microphone, and somebody put a guitar on him, and he was like this, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. And this is called Lou. He was so fucked up, he stumbled and fell down. Then someone helped him to the microphone. He didn't sing, he spoke, rhymed, indiscriminate. He didn't care what I thought. The same beat he repeat like waves of sea make us cease the struggle, giving up our bubbles flow in the push, pull, toss, and tumble of its surf. Mindless, forgotten, as the just begotten, I'm the rhythm of him. And this is called The Water Snake. In the South Mountain, along a road that goes from an ocean to a great lake, not far from my parents' home, I walked up to a water snake whose lower end a car had crushed, revealing in blood its smooth intestines, where a cluster of flies flew up and remained, filling themselves. It hissed a delicate, transparent blood, flayed and reached out, trying to leave itself still, now moving tip of its nose along the road, mouth so silent, open, I thought it was dead till it twisted, closed, unclosing. Constant agitation without rest. I thought, you are a poem, and crushed its head with a warm, flat stone. Now, I'm going to do a fucking it takes about an hour. If you're lucky, right? If you're lucky, about an hour to perform. And I performed in Philadelphia, a lot of places, even at the Philadelphia Academy of Music part of it. And when I came to New York, I performed at various places, and there was a performance space in Soho called Inroads. And so I was performing at Inroads, and after one of the performances, this fellow comes up to me and says, I just bought some video equipment, and I would love to video you performing part of the poem. So for the next 5 years or so, 3 years, 4 years, from time to time, we got together in his studio apartment with 6 or 7 dancers. And you all know how healthy dancers are. It's like coffee, cigarettes, and donuts, so the place was full of cigarette smoke. And there was the deaf actor, Sam Edwards. And Sam was wonderful, and he translated the poem into sign. And unfortunately, Sam died of AIDS shortly before we got the thing together. And I want to show part of it tonight. The gentleman who came up to ask me if he could video is sitting with us tonight, Tom Miller, who's right there. And Tom started out it was very primitive. We're in his apartment, all the cigarette smoke, pot smoking was going on. And he would change the set. And it was just this little place. It was all these people, all crowded, and we did it for several years. Anyway, so I'm going to start reading part of Fucking, which becomes Poet Laundromat. So I'm going to start reading it, and then I'm going to stop, and James is going to put the video on. And I would like you to watch about 10 minutes of Poet Laundromat. I think it's just very interesting. Tom figured out special effects that are in time with mirrors and scrims, and Sam signed it. And Sam is so wonderful in this thing. I wanted to give Sam a little showing tonight. Sam, thank you. Sam died in 1989. He was born in 1942. So this part of Poet Laundromat, or of Fucking, is called Poet Laundromat, and it takes place in Tijuana. And it's at a porno bar. And there's a donkey having sex with a woman, and there are women masturbating, men under tables. And then Sharon Tate gets murdered, and then we're in the abyss, and then there's a thunderstorm. And then we're having a conversation with William Burroughs and Socrates about whether or not to kill ourselves. So I'm going to start reading the poem, and then James will put on about 10 minutes of it, probably, and then I'll continue with the William Burroughs and Socrates. So here we are in Tijuana. I see a Tijuana donkey lean, arching toward the center of the room, where all eyes now gravitate as it fills a straddled woman's throat on its hind hooves, hee-haws its tune. While about the saloon, between the clicks of castanets, senoritas sit to masturbate. Underneath the tables, with their long, sharp fingers, American and Japanese businessmen, who are always away on business, even when they get to such exotic places as this trashy porno show. Though business they forget, soon as they go, squirming on their sweaty asses, transformed through muscular spasms of buttocks contortions, unloosing in the virtuosi hands of these senoritas, tightening strings of skin, tuned now to perfect pitch, all quivering. Their cocks are violins, and all within's a chorus sings. They, this music playing, they, what they are hearing, though all we see's their buttocks squeeze as their hands grab onto the edges of tables, white knuckles cheeks blushing, on each face pulling into itself the expression of feeling ecstasy, which looks like pain seen physically. So we could in fact be seeing on each face twitching death, like it twitched on the face of Sharon Tate, hung from a rafter, expecting it at any moment. Bound, she waits, pleads, and weeps, "Why are you doing this to me?" But she never gets an answer that's satisfactory from Charlie's psychedelic zombies. "Take this, you bitch." One of them stabs her as she sees her final second flee a short distance from her to cover its ears and close its eyes so it can't look or hear. "Oh, my precious final second, please, don't leave me here alone. Don't go and leave me now. With these strange and pretty well-fed children, not touching me with fingers, but with knives in my final surmise, who've made me realize any feeling's quite all right if it tells you you're alive. Even this is kind of nice, these slices of ice into my heart, my baby, belly, thighs." Then her body falls.
Then her body falls. Now, Sharon's expressionless, barren, relaxing from the horror of it. And even that forgets. Before time comes, takes her away. Look at the face of Sharon Tate. All you who desire such things as fame, no weeping now for Adonais.
He has outsoared the shadow of our night.
Thinking
Not the
of
cry of gold that the
poor
deep
Phoebus.
will and the profit and loss.
no
It never existed, like
For
the form
Naomi.
in the dark, escaped
here. Now the last has gone, and that was poetry. What use is it to pray or look away? One day will be the dust. That really doesn't matter much. Shifting like the sand, sifting through the fingers on a hand in some far off, distant light, time and land. When you and I and all we've known has gone to be with Sharon, which will be then, not now, where we are. If you remember, in Tijuana, with American and Japanese businessmen, observing them within their buttocks squeezing, immense with feeling, intense with a feeling into which they are contracting. They're soon smaller than the atom, and then smaller than that, and then smaller than that, being the smallest of things being, which is when they start growing. The largest themselves, what they are approaching, their moment coming of ejaculation,
that has their tendons tightening tightly around their bones, squeezing the essence of purest pleasure out of their very cores. Like the last bit of juice you suck from an orange, you hold and squeeze between your palms as underground pressures below and above one day will push sand and fossils of us into stone, where our carbon in one eon will make a diamond out of pressure, and with time, as poems are made in the mind, where thoughts touched by flesh within centuries of a second are pressed crystal sparkles, flashes of light. That is the light, but another's light, who's caught the light, sending it right into our eyes, where it always was. We realize that, understood with sudden sight, like lightning at night when it cracks through the black, like a crack spreads through glass, as you see a river spreading its tributaries, searching centuries across land for sea, shooting roots down the dark in the growing of one summer's month, invading, passing through with touch to circumvent or clutch, as fingers on a frog's back will make it jump, and the heart goes thump, and heart crane leaps into the deep to meet, just meet, shark's teeth. It hurts, that first initial thrust, making for us like a thunderhead above us, coming at us, shooting bolts of overload. Shake, butter from the cream, get hard and freeze to crack a wall, though you happen very slow, until you do, like earthquakes come, and then it's now. Crack! White light slivers from a cloud, spread mold upon the bread and dead, moss upon the stone, tumors in our brains and on our bones appear like fireworks unfold, go boom, flash, and thunder. Oh, loud sound, descend in approach of storm, you thunderbolts, sending before yourselves the wind that lifts the limbs of trees, the leaves, the grass, the dust, and all of nature, giving itself up in preparation for the rain. No tree fights the wind, but sways and bends the best it can. Soon thirst will end, but first your ear close to the earth, and hear the crickets and cicadas chirr so very near they sear our souls, and churring whir in higher pitches as the rain begins to fall in folds of wind upon them. A crack of lightning opens the night with light like day, but quickly out, where all is seen so clearly, but only for a moment. Eyes opening and shutting, the snapping of a camera's shutter, where what I saw was real. No dream, I seemed to dream in darkness once again. Vision caught on glossy photos. I can bend, burn, see yellow, holding your face in youth as I wither, growing wiser, older, and so on. What am I now forgetting? Oh, premonitions of eternity, brains of flame, scene symphonies, those business men are being held in the hands of senoritas, out of which emanates all feeling, beyond their hearts even, beating, ticking out their time so punctually.
So that was the work of a lot of people, and it went over several years. I mean, seriously, it was about 5 years or something that we put it together, and Tom got more savvy, and it's about half hour. It's on the on the YouTube and stuff. You can see it. So back to Tijuana with the senoritas. Though at one table sits a man who isn't with a senorita, nor is he watching that point in space where cock of donkey beast, pink, splotched, and warted, becomes woman-throated. Just out of jail, spectacled blinks, eyes veiled and paregoric, William Burroughs sits, stroking a brown-skinned boy he found down at the docks, sitting on a box of door locks. At high noon, under the hot sun, without a shadow, and he didn't want one. Now he kneels beneath the table where the muchacho sits, drinking his beer, unzips the little prick, makes it all wet, hardens it, says, "Flesh is the dope uncut. Boy, you, not words, be in my mouth." Burroughs, I'd rather not, Socrates says, centuries of tables away from him, then points to the cup at his lips. In here's hemlock I've chosen. I have faith in the poison. Death's the cure I've accepted to make an end of my constantly solving of problems which turns up more problems infinite. Life's like my wife, hysterical screams, constant strife, who says, "What's it worth all your talk? When I'm broken, you're gone. Who'll feed our son?" Well, I don't care. I'm done. Just being was occupation enough. A boat I ran to catch, missed at the end of the dock. Bon voyage. Life goes on, but I won't. Though my logic, like numbers, does. An argument's infernal. Two warring thoughts, not one kernel. If anything's eternal, it would be an argument, truly sterile. Though nothing's eternal, not even the sterile. There is something happening, but it's hid, and nobody here knows anything. never will, never did. Fake prophets, fake sciences, religion. Behold the pagan Christian. His answers bring him questions, and lusts meet sin. Hello, says perversion, can I come in? Innocent as television, cute as Narcissus. Now is the time of the assassins. Of suicide I'm singing. I sing of subjective killings, when every exhibitionist shall have his voyeur, and the death of imagined things fertilizes the birth of what is. But oh, what bitterness when apples bit and Snow White's laid in the glass crypt of what should have been but never is, of what's not forgot but is not, of all you've lost and it's your fault, like when I was stumbling drunk from my neck, a very precious, sentimental scarf slipped off, and on I walked. It's hard to accept the death of possessions. There, Tamar wonders, where is Onan? Orpheus weeps for his past moment to die the death of poets who've dreamed of love's utopia, beyond the eyes myopia, disease of sight where all boils down to cowardice, no way to get around it. All understand, all know, yet sad but true. So few ever do put on the eyeglasses of themselves to look at the world. Fucking's just a metaphor anymore. The past and future live. Now gives up all to them. Now's dead. And dead men don't ask why. The worst, once over, is all right. With death, I say, comes paradise. Socrates, perhaps so, replies William Burroughs. Death's one place I haven't had a chance to go. I like to talk about it, though, and if you want, I will. But that's all you can do. Words are but doors leading into that room experience where if you haven't been, what good is it? The word you stand before, but don't go in. Go knock. Ask it out. Make out with it. The word, like sex and dope, is mostly what you bring, yourself. Words mean as much. Want to talk? What were we talking about? Oh, yes, death. Just talking of death is a thrill, don't you think? Sort of like when you're getting sloppy with the needle, no longer figuring your limit beyond all measuring or caring what this stuff is you're cooking in the spoon. With an air of indifference, though you, of course, wonder, is this it? Am I snuffed or am I blissed as you're sticking it in? There's nothing quite like it. The rush as you're booting, thumb pressing and shooting, what might be death coming. The moment so fleeting, flesh meeting death, flesh parting. Sure, it's sad when the party's over, but you always recover from your hangover. And I can't tell you more than this. There is no bliss like a kiss. Even the parting kiss before the abyss of being missed, not yet missed, when it's a kiss that's two made one by a most delicate heat. This fusion, which will remain nameless, though I call it affection. No miracle, but all there is, will be, was, always whole. When we've met in sync, keeping the beat like if you snap your fingers, you can hear it click. Switch the light on to the truth of this moment, lying nude like a nude food, cooked dope in the spoon. There's no mistaking it when we're definite. A spoken word, articulate, that means what you said. You know what you'll get when you take it to bed. Sounds boring, doesn't it? But not so. It's always new, original, unfolding, the telling. The story of you are the truth you can depend on. Its cement will hold on, go on, nice, but I don't know about paradise. Like I said, you're just, honest, innocent, doing what you always did since you've ever been underneath it, all there before anything. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word wasn't talking. The Word was fucking. Want to do it? But not rock and roll like I'm listening to Chuck Berry sing how he's catching Maybelline at the top of the hill in her Coupe de Ville when what he really means is he's fucking her. Which he couldn't have sung when he wrote the song, it just wasn't done. So here Chuck comes, driving in his metaphor, V8 Ford and Cadillac, him and Maybelline. Within speed and the American dream, he hides his fucking. A poetic turn accepted, which gets him rich and famous. Though, first and foremost, lovers are where we should be at. So here I am, poet, laundromat, washing the words until we see no Ford and Coupe de Ville in a daredevil chase advancing toward the possible, which already is Chuck and Maybelline making it. What's meant, let that be said. Everything knows what it is. Nothing likes to keep it hid. Perverts are first closet queens. Wicked can't say what it means. Then Burroughs is, with his fingers pressing in, sucking off the Mexican kid. No, to touch isn't much. It's just every little thing. Even to be on the outside drinking one whole generation of spermatozoa as they wriggle, fight, and struggle in gobs of spurts of little jerky jerks, dog-eat-dog, macho, and very Machiavellian. For the sperm that's first hasn't just one, it is the only one, which is all each of them cares to know, hurrying down William Burroughs' throat to cry at last, alas, all's useless, when they feel the flames of the digestive juices eating at them. Like sparks of spark plugs, poof, they're gone, but the engine hums, and there with Buddha, O luscious nirvana, thy will be done, not to become, but unbecome. I'm going to read one more poem. It's getting late. I'm going to read one more. And there's a postcard over there. It's called Oh Pretty Self, and it's free. And everybody, take a postcard. And it's from the book, Fucking and Other Poems. So I'm going to read one more poem. It's getting a little late, I think. On poetry. On poetry. I dug out a stream in the cold early spring, dug and redug down to the bed. Where water flowed quickly, there it cleared quickly. Where it moved slowly, the mud remained long. For a while it looked ugly, with mud flung on the land and stones, logs, and planks bracing the draining banks. But the grass grew, the swallows and flycatchers swooped, and the shoots of daylilies grew up to flame their orange flames. The pasture soon regained itself and didn't seem touched by me. This is how I want my poetry. Gladly, I'll sweat the structuring, but nature, you must cover it, all in your good moment. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don. Thank you all for coming again. Get home safely and enjoy the nice weather next week.